Okay, so it's just under 3 a.m. in the morning. We are leaving Augrabies Falls and making our way through to McCarthy's Rest. It is 3 degrees. It's no joke when I say it was really difficult. Folding up our PVC tent was very hard, but yep, we are on our way. Super excited, super nervous for our first time, but I think it's going to be epic. So I'm going to be taking you through the events that nearly got Carmen and myself lost in Botswana, or it felt like that anyway. We made our way across the border with no problems whatsoever through to Tsabong.
Welcome to Botswana.
We stopped at one of the main petrol stations on the Tsabong main road. In this case, it was the engine. Topped up a diesel, filled up jerry cans, and our Garmin and Google Maps got us onto the cut line with no problems whatsoever. So we've got a Garmin device and we use our Google Maps on our phones. We don't have Chucks for Africa, which was one of our big mistakes. So about 35 kilometers on the cut line, Carmen looked at me with a very worried look and said, "We forgot to buy wood." So we had to turn around and hightail all the way back to Tsabong to find a place to buy wood, which wasn't too much of a problem, just very time consuming, and it was quite a bit of an irritation. But anyway, we got that done. Carmen told me we're going to be going a different way, or Garmin and Google Maps are taking us a different way. So this was 14 kilometers past the cut line turnoff. And we turned left. Initially, the road was fantastic, not too bad at all. We hit a dirt road. From a dirt road, became a single track road, and we traveled for another 25 kilometers on this road before the grass became really thick. The sand became really thick, until such point as we actually just didn't know where we were. We turned around, we looked back behind us, and there were just single track roads everywhere. And I mean, that was very disconcerting, knowing that you're in a place where there's nobody around you that can actually help if you get into trouble. We headed another 5 kilometers in the same direction, hoping that the roads became a little bit better. They didn't. They got even worse. I was forced to do a U-turn in pretty hectic terrain with my trailer, and then we headed back to Tsabong. And that was pretty scary. Just trying to find the single track road that you initially got onto was pretty difficult. We were following a blue line on the Garmin. There weren't any roads to left or right of it, so you pretty much kind of had to do some guessing work. But anyway, so we'll never ever do that again. We'll make sure that we do have Chucks for Africa. We're told is the best, and just try and prevent this from happening in the future.
The moral of the story being, don't always listen to Google and follow the signs. There is a sign on the main road in Tsabong saying Mabuasehube, and you go down that road. That is the famous cut line road. So after many delays, going back to Tsabong and finding our way back to the cut line, we were on our way. And then the next delay happened. We had planned for things that could go wrong, and had given ourselves a bit of extra time in this planning just in case, so that we would have more than enough time to get to Bosobogolo before it was dark. But quite honestly, we didn't expect so many little things to go wrong.
Okay, so my first recovery, got pretty stuck. I thought I did my tire, or deflated my tires enough. Clearly that wasn't the case. And I was not in low range. I'm pulling quite heavy, so I need a little bit more power, and I didn't have that at the time. So my diff lock pretty much created a bit of a sand heap under my car that I had to dig out. But yeah, it's the first time I've been in that situation, so it's quite nice to go through it and you know, learn through the situation, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's about going through the experiences, bettering yourself, bettering your knowledge, and understanding your car a little bit better, which I clearly didn't.
Okay, so I'm going to give you my perspective of what has happened. We went from the gravel road and hit the sand. It's 2:30 in the afternoon, so the sand is now hot.
Why are we here so late?
Because Google took us the wrong way, but that's not part of what I'm talking about now. So yeah, that's a whole other story I'll probably talk about before this, but I'm just trying to explain how we got stuck. We went from the gravel into deep hot sand very quickly, and my husband has just explained to me that we were driving in a high range, which gives us less power, he tells me, and that low range gives you a lot more power, but we didn't engage the low range at that point, nor was our tire pressure apparently low enough. We were on 1.6, we dropped down to 1.2.
No, we were 1.6, we dropped down to 1.1.
We've dropped down to 1.1.
All round.
At the moment, the sand is very deep and very hot and soft, so it's the worst conditions to do this road in. So far, according to Google, there's only 35 k's left to go to the gate, so I'm still feeling optimistic we'll get there. But it has been a very stressful afternoon because there was a very strong smell coming in from the inside of the car and outside the car, and luckily we stopped everything before anything burnt out, but I was terrified that the clutch had burnt out. Okay, there's 30 k's left and the road is a little bit better for now, but every now and again we hit some heavy sand. So by this point we had been on the road for 12 hours already. We had got lost and we had got stuck. And we were finally on our way to Mabuasehube. Quite nervous, but at the same time relieved that the car was working and everything seemed to be fine. Most of the stuff was in our head, but you can't help but be very nervous when you are alone in a foreign country, driving on a road you have never been, and you're not sure how it's going to be the rest of the way. We literally counted down the kilometers until we got to the gate, and were extremely relieved to arrive at Mabuasehube.
Yes, we pretty much just arrived at Bosobogolo Camp 1. Still very much in the process of setting up, so everything's just lying everywhere. But just look at that. Golden grass, spanning for miles, look right in front of us. And then show you around the camp. They do have a cement slab, but we opted not to use it because we wanted to pitch our tent on the other side of the A-frame. And then we got a little fire pit happening, which we will cover up just before we leave. The ablutions are down at the bottom, just past my car, so if you ask me, that's quite far away from our tent, but we will cross that bridge when we get there.
Okay, we have pretty much set up camp. This is probably the most beautiful sight we have ever seen. The views are incredible. Just to show you what we've done, there's our wood, there's our fire, still packing away a few little things. Here is our table, our chairs, a pile of wood. I think we got too much wood, but yeah, I don't think you can ever have too much wood in the bush. Yeah, we're busy cooking and prepping some food. We're going to make a mushroom sauce with steak that I'm attempting to defrost. Let's walk around. How gorgeous is that? So this is inside our tent. This is a tent without our children. I've packed our veggies over here. Oh, we need light. There is our little kitchen and utility stand, our fridge, and up there is our bed.
So we are all set and ready for the next 4 nights here at Bosobogolo. Just look at that, absolutely incredible. We are buying some steak tonight, and a little bit too late. We don't usually eat at this time. We'll have meat on the braai this time if we were wine camping, but we didn't have a choice because I got us stuck. But yeah, just look at that. That is our view. All sitting and watching our steak cook.